Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host at Masandele Chawok. Now, in KwaZulu-Natal, the DA has tipped Chris Pappas to be their premier candidate for KwaZulu-Natal. Although we know that the DA has a chairperson who is not Chris Pappas, who is someone else, and would expect him to stand for premier of KwaZulu-Natal. But it seems like the DA has decided otherwise. They've decided to endorse Chris Pappas, who is the current mayor of Umgeni, and who's very young, who is white, I think was born in 1991. And they endorsed him to be a premier candidate. We saw the leader of the DA, John Steenhuisen, coming down to endorse Chris Pappas. I don't know what the engagements have been, but when we know that the president of the political party has such powers to decide who can be premier where. And I think this comes as a challenge to what transpired recently in KwaZulu-Natal. We know that we lost one of the giants, who is Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, an IFP founder. And I think this will come as a challenge to the Zulu nation, to the people of KwaZulu-Natal entirely, and the members and supporters of IFP, because they cannot allow his legacy to go down the drain just like that. I mean, they must make sure that they put it upon themselves and take it as a challenge that they make sure that they win elections in KwaZulu-Natal. They must win that province in 2024 in honor of Mangosuthu Buthelezi. And I believe that this is something that he always wished. This is something that he always wanted the IFP to achieve, to win and control KwaZulu-Natal. And I believe that if they can take it upon themselves and challenge themselves to say they want to do it for Mangosuthu Buthelezi, they can win. But the challenge now is that Chris Pappas, as young as he is, as white as he is, a lot of people in Umgeni has received him very well. And his type of leadership has shown that he can be a successful leader, and he can even handle the position of premier, because number one, he adapts very well, because in terms of language, he speaks Zulu language fluently, more than a lot of us who are black, and more than a lot of Zulu people who did not grow up in KwaZulu-Natal. He speaks very fluent, and when they interview him, because he is now being interviewed in all these big media houses, you can hear that he has a plan, he has a formula, and he is ready for criticism. He is ready to to implement his plans, his ideas, and that the policy of the DA. And when asked that if he would like to co-govern with other political parties, he says that he's not going to work with the ANC, he's not going to work with the EFF, because their policies clash. Their policies speaks for different things, and he doesn't see himself entering into a co-governance with either ANC or the EFF. And that's a policy position of the DA everywhere else, because we saw the coalition pact meeting which they held, I think it was in Sentin Convention Center, where they invited other political opposition parties for some sort of pre-election agreement, and where they formed a coalition that in case results comes in otherwise, they must be prepared to co-govern with those political parties. We saw the IFP, we saw Action SA, and the likes. I think there were 6, if not 7. So now the question is, now that the youth brigade of the IFP, before the passing of Mangosuthu Buthelezi, held to account the seniors of the IFP, saying that there is no way that they can join the Moonshot Pact led by the DA. So the youth brigade in the IFP did not agree with such a decision. And I think they are going to move with that influence or that decision of the youth brigade and other people in the IFP who do not agree with IFP forming a coalition before elections with the DA, that the DA puts it clear that their leader will be the one who is president in case the numbers puts them forward to be the ruling organization or club or things like that, that Moonshot Pact that they agreed upon. So the IFP, now that there is someone who is young, who is white, who relates with the Zulu nation very well, who spoke with recently they asked him that have he ever tried to speak to the king of the Zulu nation? And he said that the king once visited Umgeni municipality and was very impressed, and they had to speak. They had a small dialogue. They had to speak about issues that are affecting his people and things like that. So, and he was told by the king that he is someone who supports people, that people must work together inclusively and to try and make sure that the Zulu nation is united, and all other political parties must come to the ground and work together and make sure that there is progress, there is success, and things like that. So Chris Pappas, in terms of understanding politics, in terms of experience, he might be young, but he has been there. He served in the provincial legislature. He served in the DA. He has been around, and he understands the policy position of the DA. And he's not shaken. When he is asked about working with the ruling party, he disagrees. When he's asked about working with the likes of the EFF, he says no. So he is someone who is well-groomed. He's someone who I think is a threat. I think the white boy is a threat, and he's well-spoken, and he doesn't make promises. He tells you of the strategies that are there, that they're implementing, that they have been testing, that have been working. And he says that he's ready when he is questioned about things like trying to fix the problems of the previous administration in case he goes on to win or to be co-governing with small political parties that will put him as premier. He says that he understands and he knows that you can't go into a leadership position like that and start firing people. You have to work with them. You have to understand the problems. You have to strategize and know where to start, what to start with, and then what is it that will come last and things like that. And he gave a practical example to say in Umgeni, they did not have equipment. The municipality did not have equipment, and when he entered there, he realized that this is a problem because they are spending a lot in hiring equipment that the municipality should at least have. And then he started by buying equipment that was needed. He got rid of expensive furniture because he thought it was not a priority, because in offices of the municipality, all they focus on is service delivery. So why do they have to have expensive furniture? So he got rid of things like that and made sure that they buy furniture that the municipality affords, and they move step by step into trying to become, he gave an example of a Ferrari, to try to become a Ferrari municipality, but they have to start somewhere and make sure that there's infrastructure, there are services to the people. And that is something that a lot of our black leaders fail. I mean, they fail to render basic services. They fail to deal with potholes. They fail to just to paint these old buildings, just to paint them and bring them back to life, just to revive them. They fail to do that. They fail to render the most basic services, healthcare. You go into a hospital, there is no Panado, there is no pain block. The basic medicine or medication which is supposed to be there, the pharmaceuticals are not up to standard. And no one cares. When you check the beds in these public hospitals, no one is there to fix not even anything. What they care about is just to go to work, help few people, and knock off, and then get paid. So he spoke about such basic needs, that the municipality is focusing on the basic needs of the people. It's focusing on reviving the infrastructure of Umgeni. And that is the same strategy that is going to employ when it becomes a premier of KwaZulu-Natal. But he was asked a question of whether he thinks that will be an easy journey. And he said it won't be. truly speaking, but he wouldn't. He's not proud to say they are not going to win, but he is looking at facts, and he's saying that they have to work with other small political organizations, the opposition parties, but not the ANC, not the EFF. They are in talks with IFP to try and come with a strategy to help the people of KwaZulu-Natal, to help the Zulu nation. And he spoke something that is very interesting, and I think it's a strategy that he's going to use to attract these Zulu people, because he spoke about going to their culture and understanding their culture and tradition. When he was asked about his fluency, the way he's fluent when he speaks English, that it's not about speaking English. When he speaks Zulu, it's not about speaking Zulu. It's about understanding the meaning of the language and culture and traditions of the people. So if we understand that, we know that the Zulu people, these are the most preserved people when it comes to culture. They love and understand, and they still live their culture, and they have preserved it. They are very proud of their culture. If there's a white man who comes with an understanding of their culture and happens to render services of quality, I don't think that they can opt for someone who is one of their own but cannot render services. So the white boy stands a chance, and if political parties like the ANC, the EFF don't look out for that candidate, Chris Pappas, I think they will regret. But the most political party that I think must be very careful and strategic and must make sure that they perform very well in KwaZulu-Natal is the IFP. The IFP has a duty to honor Mangosuthu Buthelezi in the next general elections. What they can do is that they must go in their numbers to vote and be strategic in making sure that the results or the outcomes of the local elections must at least reflect the outcomes that we're going to see in 2024, especially in KwaZulu-Natal. Because now we understand and we know that they have been in charge of so many municipalities that they took from the ANC and with the assistance of other opposition parties. So now they must double the effort, triple the effort, go all out and make sure that they win KwaZulu-Natal. That's a challenge, and they must honor Buthelezi. I think that is something that will make the man to rest in peace. So if they are not careful about this Chris Pappas, if they are not careful about this DA candidate, I think they are going to be surprised, because the boy is smart, well articulate, and he has strategies that you can feel that these strategies can work. And he has tested them in Umgeni, and they are working at Umgeni. And we see black people being proud of being led by a white child, a white boy, something that I think it should have been very difficult in the previous administration for a young white boy to lead a municipality in the deep rural areas of KwaZulu-Natal, because he says more than 75% of the people of his municipalities are black and Zulu. So the others are mixed. It's Indian, colored, white. So he is leading a community that is dominated by Zulu people, but they made him a mayor. He is a mayor. He is leading. He is there. And he presents to the masses or to the people the strategies that he has already employed that are working, and the problems that he identify upon assuming office as a mayor of Umgeni. And he tells us about the solutions that he gave. So it's not someone who should be undermined. He's white, he's young, but he's a leader. Before a politician, he's a leader. He has the qualities of a leader that a lot of our politicians do not carry. And we cannot take away from that white politician, white boy, because he's young, he's in his 30s, and he's very energetic, well articulate. When he speaks to issues, you can sense that he understands the vision of his political party. And for the first time, I've seen the DA deliver. I think the boy is even better than John Steinheiser, way better, because now he is being tried, he is being tested with a municipality, with a province. And if he can deliver KwaZulu Natal, which I don't think it's quite possible, but if he can deliver KwaZulu Natal, I think the boy will be a threat to someone of John Steinheisen's caliber, because he's now in Johannesburg going on interviews, radio stations, these big media houses, TV, television. They want him, they want to engage him. And when they ask him questions, he answers them direct, and he gives them practical examples of what he has been doing, of the strategies that he have to help the people of KwaZulu-Natal in Umgeni, the strategies that are working, reviving the municipality, starting with basic services, something which our leaders do not do. As soon as black leaders are deployed in these strategic positions, we see them buying cars, changing lifestyle, which is not bad, but they must first look into the needs, the basic needs of the people, which is water, healthcare, electricity, things like that, fixing roads, making sure that hospitals are accessible, schools are accessible, and things like that. So we hardly see this type of leadership that this Chris Pappas is bringing. We hardly see it in black people and in black leadership. So he is being tried and tested, and he is using that to prove that he is a good leader. He is using that to prove to us that he is a good one, and he should be afforded an opportunity to lead in a provincial level. And I think he has started very well in his career, and I think he's going far. He's going far because he is up for any challenge, and he says that being tipped to be premier of KwaZulu-Natal comes to him as a challenge, and he's taking it with both hands, and he's going to strategize to make sure that he delivers KwaZulu-Natal for the DA come 2024. And we have not heard a lot of these other political parties giving us statements, making statements, tipping premiers to see who is going to be a candidate in this province and things like that. We haven't seen that. Political parties are quiet. Maybe they're waiting for the date. We don't know what's happening. But I think this is the right time where candidates should be unveiled, and then we know in this political party who is representing them in this particular province, so that we can go there with an idea as early as possible, that we know we can check this leader, and even this leader can try and work, to the level of a premier, to try and display leadership, to show us. For example, in Gauteng, the EFF has Dunga, who I think is doing well as an MMC in Ekurhuleni, if I'm not mistaken. And we know that as a chairperson of the EFF in Gauteng, potentially he might be premier. But if the EFF does not win so many provinces, let's say it only wins Gauteng, obviously they're going to deploy someone from national level. So these are the things that we need to see. These are the things that we need to see as early as possible, so that we know what we're dealing with, so that we can compare these leaders, so that when we go to elections, people are aware of the person who is going to lead them. Because I think we're living in a South Africa where we must exercise our rights to vote very well, because it's no longer a matter of a political party, but it's a matter of service delivery to the people. It's no longer about the ANC, the EFF, the DA, UDM, IFP, and the likes. It's about who can deliver. That is why even independent candidates are making it in local municipalities, in local government elections. They emerge victorious because the people look at the caliber and capacity of an individual and not that of the political party. Because sometimes it's not a matter of ideology, but basic service delivery to the people. And that is what a lot of us needs from these politicians. But unfortunately, as soon as they gain power, they neglect us, they forget us. This is Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host, Admasandile Chauke. Let's engage in the comment section. Watch the previous videos. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you.